Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Moyna Bass Fishes. I'm Jim Moyna, professional bass fisherman. We are giving the wrap up and final assessment here at this tournament. This is the 2024 MLF Toyota Series tournament at Toledo Bend. So we're going to be discussing the strategies I used, the approach that I took, and just some general thoughts on it. Day 3 is tomorrow, this tournament. The top 25 fish tomorrow. I finished 54th, so I'm done. I had 11.5 yesterday, and today I only had 3 fish today for about 7.5 pounds, which put me in 54th place out of 115 anglers. All right, with that being said, you know where I finished. Where did I go wrong? Why didn't I finish higher? I had 7 days to practice here, and it's a big lake. I saw quite a bit of the lake in those 7 days. I never really settled into one area and hammered away on it. Instead, I just wanted to get around and check different areas, check water clarities, try to see which areas had grass. But really, I only touched maybe 25% of this lake. It's that big in 7 days. And then 2 days of the tournament. But anyhow, what I wanted to do, I really thought maybe I could get on some spawning fish in this tournament to begin with. The first day of practice, I did see one really good one up shallow, and I saw one other decent fish up shallow. But the whole rest of the time, I never caught a good fish shallow, meaning a good fish like in the spawning area. Never could do it. So I could catch like 2-pounders, even caught a couple 3-pounders, but just like to win out here, you gotta be stumbling into some 4+ pounders here and there, which I had a really hard time doing throughout practice. I'd get maybe one good one a day on average, maybe not even that. But and then the final day of practice, I caught like a 9-pounder and a 7-pounder. So that told me right there that, hey, this is where the big ones are, out here in like 13 foot of water, because that's about the depth that both of those fish were hanging out when I caught them. And but with yesterday, we had just massive winds to start the day, the first day of the tournament. So I just decided I was just going to go get a limit if I can off the shallow fish. And I caught 4. I spent a long time doing it, caught 4, and finally went deep later in the day and caught 2, which gave me the 11.5. So today, and that put me in 40th place. And I think you want to make the top 25 cut. So to do that, I figured I needed like 18 pounds. And the only way I was going to catch 18 pounds is if somehow I got on some deep fish. So that's kind of what I did today. I put the bait that caught the 7-pounder, caught the 9-pounder, and caught it like a 5-pounder midway through my practice week. And I didn't throw that bait that much, really. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just commit to it and see where that lands me by the end of the day. So that's what I did. I committed to that bait pretty hard, probably threw it 90% of the time. And what was that bait? Let's just show it to you right now. Where is it? Here it is. It's basically a 5-inch swim bait on a 3/4 ounce swim head. It's none of that. I caught an 11-pounder on Rayburn a couple years on this bait, so I know it's got a knack for generating the right kind of bite. And I felt like I needed to catch up. Not only that, I felt like I needed to catch up in the points. My first tournament on Rayburn in this division was just fair, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe some really good things can happen if I commit to that bait today. But it didn't. Actually, and then my coingler caught a limit, just dragging a Carolina rig all day long. He just dragged his Carolina rig, and he was in third place to start the day. So he had like 10.5 pounds, and today he weighed almost 12. So he's going to be no worse than third going into tomorrow. He might even be the leader, maybe. Who knows? Just dragging the Carolina rig, but you know, he got almost 12 pounds. So what 12 pounds had done me? If I would have picked up the Carolina rig and just dragged it, first of all, I want to be able to cover. I fished a lot of new areas today, so I want to be able to cover the same amount of water. I want to be able to, you know, see as much water as I did, which to me was important because I didn't want to. I basically fished practically all new water. One spot I did fish from practice, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna, yeah. And I hit the spot. I did hit the spot where I caught the 9-pounder and caught nothing, just like yesterday. I hit that spot yesterday, caught nothing. I did not get to the spot where I caught the 7-pounder from practice. Just didn't get a chance to get over there. So yeah, that's kind of how things worked out. And obviously to catch those spawners on day, you know, those 2-pound fish that I felt like were spawning on the first day, they're male garters. You know, that was just a straight a stick worm that Billy Rub Baits make. I used that on in a Nika rigging technique, which yeah, and again, nobody makes a good freaking weedless wacky rig. And nobody. I've tried so many different styles and brands. Using the hook that I was throwing, it was just constantly getting snagged in the cypress roots and these, just constantly. I mean, I was getting afraid to even throw it to where you needed to throw it. And then the hooking percentages are just abysmal. It's just so frustrating. All these hook companies, and nobody's sat one of these hook companies down and said, this is how it's got to be. I know how it's got to be. And it's stupid. Anyhow, what else I got to say about this tournament? Good luck to my coingler tomorrow. He was a young kid, nice, I mean, both the coinglers I had were just super great. They made sure they never cast it in front of me. They made it a point to never cast it in front of me. And especially, I mean, the guy with dragging Carolina rig, I mean, he just threw it out there and dragged. He didn't know what he was throwing at. He just threw it. And every once in a while, he'd bring by fish and catch one. So, hats off to him. What else do I need to say? A lot of things didn't work out here for me. I think in here, okay, I had my nose buried in my forward sonar a lot all week, a lot this week, with the intention of learning more about it, just getting a better feel for it. I mean, I've got lots of hours on it, but you can always get better. And in my case, what I need to do and improve on is just distinguishing what's worth throwing at, because a lot of these lakes have a lot of bait in them and a lot of white bass and drum and all that, and catfish. So I need to better learn what I should throw at and what I should not, what's not worth throwing at. And I did fine tune that a little bit, and which, you know, there's different levels to this forward sonar, and I'm not at the top level by any means. and there's gaps in my game, my forward sonar game. There's definite gaps. It ain't. I don't have the full grasp of how to fish Sam Rayburn, how to fish Toledo Bend with forward sonar. I mean, I got a lot better at distinguishing different types of baits and that, different types of fish, but still not perfect. And I still don't think, I mean, I don't know how people can say they can tell the difference between a 1.5-pounder and a 3.5-pounder. That's because, I mean, a lot depends on how they're pointing a lot depends on how they're pointing at the transducer. So if a 5-pounder is pointing straight at your transducer, you're not going to see much of a profile. So you're going to get a smaller signal because it only can bounce off of like just the front of the fish, and that's not near as big as if the fish is 20 inches long. But if you're bouncing off just the front of it, you're only bouncing off of like 5 inches. So a fish like a 5-pounder can appear as a smaller fish depending on how the transducer is hitting it, in my opinion. Now I'm just speculating. I'm trying to wonder why, but as soon as a bigger fish turns sideways, that's when you get a good glimpse at the size of it. But I've been deceived. I'll throw out there, and I'm throwing at something I'm thinking maybe kind of smallish, and then all of a sudden it turns, and then I get like a big, then you get a big side signal, and it's like, whoa, the fish looks a lot bigger now. Same fish. Gosh, so yeah. Anyways, that was a good experience this week doing that, but I just don't know how. How am I supposed to get 20 pounds out here? Well, the guy next to me in the bag line, he was talking, I was right between him and his buddy talking back and forth, and he had over 20 pounds, and he caught him. He was fishing deep. He was fishing points, which is what I keyed on today. So it may be, I mean, there's a jillion points out here, so what it comes down to is trying to understand what points are the better ones. I got on some points today that didn't have much woody cover at all. I wasn't fishing around grass hardly at all today. Just mainly, or yesterday, just mainly the stumps and standing timber. But I got on some points today that were like clean and nothing, and those were time killers because it's like there's nothing there, nothing to throw at, no targets to throw at. No, I mean, nothing. And you're wasting time. The point where I caught the 9-pounder, that was a long flat point that ran way out from shore, and very gradual taper, a little bit steeper sides, but gradual taper out the pointy end of it. And that fish was sitting in about 13 foot of water on a stump. Now the 7-pounder, that fish was also relating to a long flat that ran out into the lake, but he was situated. There was a creek channel that came in and made a cut right into that flat. So if my hand's a flat, and if you're looking at the map, this creek channel came in, it touched the flat, and then bended back out. And that 7-pounder was sitting right where that creek channel touched that flat. So apparently those are the types of places that I need to look at, and that's what I did today, was trying to hone in on that. There's a lot of water out here, lots of water, and lots of learning to do. If I come back, hopefully I come back here. So, well, 54th place. So where does that put me in the points for the Toyota Series? So the whole goal is to make the Toyota Series Championship. I don't know where I'm going to end up in the points, but you got to be in the top 25. So at this point, I'm probably going to need a really strong finish at the third and last tournament in this series, which is at Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma. That's got to be a good finish, really strong, like a top 10. And that might put me, I mean, I don't know where I am right now because they got to weigh these guys in tomorrow and then we'll know. But I did pick up a fourth tournament for a wild card, you know, in case if I have to qualify through the wild card division. I'm not going to explain what that means, but if I do well in that, if I can do well at Eufaula and then do well at the Smith Lake tournament next week, which is another Toyota series, but I'm doing that one just, it's in another division, but that'll help me with my wild card standings if I do all right over there. So anyhow, gosh, this video's gone on long enough. I think nothing else much to say about a 54th place finish out of 115. So thanks for watching, and I'll be driving to Smith Lake tomorrow, setting up camp there tomorrow night, and be fishing in 2 days over there for big spotted bass. Two biggest spotted bass I ever caught were out of that lake. They were like 5-pounders over.